Most people think their dog watches them leave and feels one simple thing: sadness, maybe confusion, maybe that dramatic little heartbreak you see in those videos where a dog sits by the door like a forgotten poet. But that is not really what is happening, because when you leave the house, your dog is not sitting there having a human-style monologue about abandonment. They are doing something much older than that, much deeper. Their body is trying to answer one urgent question: has the shape of my world changed, and is it still safe? To you, leaving is a small event: keys, shoes, door, back later. To your dog, it can be the moment the air itself changes. Dogs do not build their understanding of life the way humans do. You live heavily in language and clocks. Dogs live in patterns, scent, movement, and prediction. They know the day by sequences: the sound of the bathroom door, the way you walk when you are staying versus the way you move when you are about to disappear for hours, the tiny rise in pace, the different breathing, the touch of fabric, the metallic jingle of keys that means the pack is about to split. And for a social animal, that matters. Dogs came from ancestors that survived by staying connected, not in some sentimental movie way, in a practical, bodily, life or death way. Separation from the group could mean vulnerability, less protection, less information, less warmth, less chance of finding food. Even now, inside a safe modern home, that ancient wiring has not vanished. It has just moved indoors. It has wrapped itself around routines, hallways, windows, and the person who always comes back, carrying the outside world on their skin. So when your dog sees you leave, what they think is not exactly, "Why are you doing this to me?" It is closer to, "The pattern is breaking, my anchor is moving, what happens next?" That is why different dogs react so differently. Some get restless before you are even gone. They start following you from room to room. They watch your hands. They cut in front of your path. They lean against your legs while you tie your shoes. That is not clinginess in the shallow sense people use the word. It is information gathering. They are reading the storm before it arrives. Some dogs bark, some pace, some grab a toy, some run to a window and hold themselves completely still. Some go to your bed, curl into the deepest part of your smell, and wait there like they have placed themselves inside the outline you left behind. And some barely react at all, which does not always mean they care less. It may simply mean their nervous system has learned the pattern well enough to absorb the disturbance. Trust in dogs often looks less like excitement and more like conservation. No wasted panic, no frantic checking, just a body that has learned this gap is survivable. That is one of the most misunderstood parts of canine love. Humans often imagine devotion as intensity, but in animals, real security can look quiet. A dog who sleeps after you leave may not be emotionally distant. They may be deeply certain of you. Still, even the calmest dog does not experience an empty house the way you would. To you, a room without people is just a room. To a dog, the house remains thick with presence. Your scent is on the couch, the door frame, the floor, the stale drift of morning air, the sleeves of a jacket, the pillow, the place where your hand touched the handle on the way out. Dogs live in a layered chemical world. Smell is not decoration for them. It is structure. It is evidence. It is memory still floating in space. That is why a shirt you wore can calm some dogs more than a brand new toy ever could. The toy is an object. Your scent is a map saying, "This being exists. This bond is real. This place still belongs to us." But smell can also create a strange ache, because dogs are not only detecting that you exist, they are detecting that you were just here and now you are not. Imagine living in a world where absence has a scent trail, where leaving is not clean and abstract, but smeared across the air in fading layers. Your dog may spend part of that time monitoring that slow disappearance. This is where people sometimes get it wrong. They see the dog waiting by the door and think it is pure melodrama. But the door is not just a symbol. It is the place where transformation happened. Inside became outside. Together became apart. Safety became uncertainty. A dog returning to the door is often returning to the last known point of change. And then there is sound. Dogs hear textures of life you never notice. The elevator 3 floors down, a car door outside, The distant foot rhythm in the hallway, the shift of a neighbor coming home, the mail slot, he's a male, the male. The engine pattern that is almost yours, but not quite. Some dogs spend your absence in a state of low-level listening, not because they are fragile, but because they are built to monitor change. Their world is stitched together from signals. They are not just passing time, they are sampling it. For dogs with separation distress, that system becomes overwhelmed. The problem is not that the dog is being dramatic or disobedient. It is that the body never successfully exits alarm. The dog cannot settle because the nervous system keeps insisting that the event is unresolved. That is why destruction, vocalizing, drooling, frantic reunion, indoor accidents, or self-injury can appear. It is not revenge. Dogs do not sit there plotting emotional punishment because you went to work. It is overflow, stress with nowhere to go. And that matters because the story you tell about your dog changes how you treat them. If you think your dog is being bad when you leave, you will respond with frustration. If you understand that your dog may be trying to regulate fear, uncertainty, and broken prediction, you start asking a better question. Not, how do I stop this behavior? But, what is my dog's body unable to resolve? That is where the bond becomes real. Not in baby talk. Not in the fantasy that your dog thinks exactly like a little furry human. But in the fact that your presence has become part of how their world organizes itself. You are not just a favorite creature, you are a moving landmark, a source of rhythm, a reliable piece of environmental gravity. And this is why reunions can be so explosive. When you come home, your dog is not only happy, relief floods in, information closes, the missing pattern clicks back into place. The house makes sense again, the sounds are right, the scent is fresh. The social unit is restored. That wiggling body, that spinning, that whining, that impossible joy, it is not merely excitement, it is resolution. End quote. The unanswered question has been answered. You came back. For some dogs, especially those deeply attached to routine, that may be the whole miracle. Not that you love them in some abstract way, but that over and over the rupture ends, the footsteps return, the key turns, the door opens. The body they built part of their safety around appears again, exactly where hope said it might. And over time, that repetition becomes trust. Trust is not a speech. It is not even an emotion in the clean way humans imagine it. In dogs, trust is often a prediction the body can afford to make. It is the nervous system saying, I have seen this before, and I survived it. It is the ability to rest during absence, because history has become stronger than fear. That may be the most beautiful part of all, because what your dog really thinks when you leave is not one neat sentence. It is a living braid of instinct, sensation, memory, and attachment. A little vigilance, a little waiting, a little chemistry, a little habit, sometimes stress, sometimes confidence, always attention. And hidden inside all of that is something incredibly moving. Your dog does not need to understand jobs, errands, calendars, or traffic. They do not need the philosophy of where you go. What changes their life is something simpler and more profound. They have learned the rhythm of losing sight of you and learning not to lose you completely. 10. So the next time your dog watches you walk out the door, do not reduce that moment to they're being needy or they're just obsessed. For an animal shaped by connection, departure is never nothing. It is a real event in the body, a disturbance in the map, a temporary unraveling of the familiar. And when they wait for you, whether with pacing paws or a sleeping sigh, what they are holding on to is not just hope. It is the memory of return. If you love seeing the hidden science and quiet emotion inside the animals who share your life, stay close and subscribe. There is so much more happening in their small, everyday behaviors than the world ever taught you to see.